We're rolling.
So we're here at the Essence of Life Organic Produce Market, just trying to find out where our local produce comes from. And we were able to find some things over here, like this organic baby spinach. It is a product of the USA, so it comes from the States. We can edit this out, right? And some of the other things that we found that were interesting were that this place definitely buys seasonally. As you can see here, this pear is from Argentina, certified organic. Bam. Right here we have some little nectarines that are certified organic, and they're from California. Right here we have Californian hand-picked organic carrots, certified by the USDA Organics. Here we have lemons, which are from South Africa. We have all kinds of berries here that are from different parts of the USA. This here is from California. This is as well from California. These limes here are Mexican. We have Belgian peppers right here. We have organic Californian cherries. We have locally grown organic rosemary, mint, and other herbs. These come from Ontario. We have Chilean kiwis. We have organic mushrooms here, which are from the Highline Company, which certifies their organic material outside of Ontario. We have Windmill Farms here, organic certification from the Center for Organic Certification Systems. We have zucchinis here.
It's a cucumber.
That is a cucumber. Yeah, I mean, so it's pretty easy to see that just from this little produce section alone, how seasonally we do purchase our ingredients, especially when it comes to organic certification. It's important to find things that are in season and are readily available. We have Chilean fruit, we have Belgian vegetables, we have all sorts of fruit from California and different places in the US, and we have a lot of variety of stuff from Ontario. So it's kind of nice to know that they are buying from different, purveyors that are allowing us to select the freshest and best food. So we're going to head out from the Essence of Life Organics place right now and try and find us some organic meat.
Okay.
Now we're at the Jungle Fruit Market in Kensington, trying to find out where the rest of our produce comes from. Here we have a really nice big selection of Ontario-grown lettuce. We have kale, red leaf, collard greens, romaine, Swiss chard, kale, baby spinach, all of it grown locally here in Ontario. Behind us we have a bit of a wider variety of produce. We have fine ripened tomatoes from Canada. We have American grown artichokes. We have Ontario grown yellow beans and baby dill. And as we come more along this way, we see American beefsteak tomatoes, Roma tomatoes, which are grown in Mexico, Guatemalan cantaloupes, South African grapefruit, mandarin oranges from Argentina. We have white nectarines grown in the States, yellow mangoes, which are products of Mexico, Colombian bananas in front, American apricots in the middle, and also American nectarines in behind. And lastly, we have Ontario-grown yellow plums. So it's easy to see just from this small amount of produce on display here how complex it can be to trace where our food is coming from. We have many different nations who are supplying our produce here. We have Guatemalan produce, Mexican produce, South African produce. So it's not even just international, but it's continental as well. And that can make it a lot harder for us to understand the traceability of our food and just understand where our food is coming from. And now we're going to move on and continue to try and find some locally raised organic meat. Cheese Magic, not Magic Cheese. We're at Cheese Magic here, and we are about to get some info from the experts across the counter here. We have Matt, and we have Steven. So what do you guys know about your cheddar, your old cheddar cheese?
We have quite an array of cheddar cheeses, but if you want to get as local as possible, you'll want a cheddar from the great province of Ontario.
Oh, very nice. This is an old white cheddar.
How is it?
Oh, you can taste Ontario.
This is from co-op in Ripley, Ontario. Pine River Dairy Co-op. It's a 6-year-old cheddar.
Oh man.
Matt really likes talking about that one.
So, like, where do you guys purchase from? Do you, like, is it local? Is it all, are they Ontario suppliers, or does it come from farther?
Yeah, we have a local supplier.
Yeah?
Yeah, we don't get it directly from the company.
No?
We have, like, pretty much all of our cheddar is from there. Everything you see from, like, here to there is from that dairy.
Nice.
It's kind of like, we get stuff like Balderson's, everyone's heard of that. There are some other cheddars that are kind of more mainstream that are a little bit, I don't want to talk smack about Balderson, but those are like nice and cheap and they're local. This is Dairy Co-op. They make all our curds too, and the curds are awesome.
Nice. Cool. Well, thank you for sharing your cheese knowledge.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it. And maybe you guys will make it big one day. All because of this.
See ya. We're out front Sanigan's Meat Locker, and we found some local meat. We found some Ontario beef and even grass-fed beef top sirloin. We have some Perth pork back in there. Nibissing farm quail.
We have Mennonite raised pork here on the right.
Let's go in and ask him some questions.
Yep.
It's rolling.
So we're here at Sanigan's Meat Market, just trying to find out a little bit more about where our meat is coming from. And we have this gentleman right here,
Keenan McVeigh.
Keenan McVeigh, who is going to be our expert today. So Keenan, if you could go ahead and maybe just tell us where some of that stuff comes from.
Yeah, so it's all coming from small Ontario farms. Peter, the owner, has a pretty good relationship with most of the farmers. Chicken is all coming from a farm called King Capon in Sharon, Ontario, which is just a few miles north of the city. Our beef comes from a couple other places, a couple different places. One named West Grey Farms, which is in Durham. Another place called Ontario Harvest, which we get most of our limousine beef, which is a French breed of cow that they're doing in Ontario. That's in Wyerton. Wyerton. And then South 50 is in Rockville. And that's where we get all of our grass-fed beef, which just started coming in. We're getting half a cow every week. It's really popular. A lot of people are looking for grass-fed beef now.
Yeah, there's a big trend towards that, eh?
Yeah, definitely.
Getting the corn fed out of the diet.
And Forsyth Farms, I believe, is in Wyerton as well.
Cool.
And that's where we get all of our lamb from.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
No problem, guys.
Appreciate your knowledge, man.
Take
Thanks
care.
a lot. Yep.
It's rolling.
So we're here at Sanigan's Meat Market, just trying to find out a little bit more about where our meat is coming from. And we have this gentleman right here,
Keenan McVeigh.
Keenan McVeigh, who is going to be our expert today. So Keenan, if you could go ahead and maybe just tell us where some of that stuff comes from.
Yeah, so it's all coming from small Ontario farms. Peter, the owner, has a pretty good relationship with most of the farmers. Chicken is all coming from a farm called King Capon in Sharon, Ontario, which is just a few miles north of the city. Our beef comes from a couple other places, a couple different places. One named West Grey Farms, which is in Durham. Another place called Ontario Harvest, which we get most of our limousine beef, which is a French breed of cow that they're doing in Ontario. That's in Wyerton. Wyerton. And then South 50 is in Rockville. And that's where we get all of our grass-fed beef, which just started coming in. We're getting half a cow every week. It's really popular. A lot of people are looking for grass-fed beef now.
Yeah, there's a big trend towards that.
Yeah, definitely.
Getting the corn fed out of the diet.
And Forsyth Farms, I believe, is in Wyerton as well.
Cool.
And that's where we get all of our land from.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
No problem, guys.
Appreciate your knowledge, man.
Take
Thanks
care.
a lot.
This particular product is from Leamington Farm, one of the 2 organic facilities of the 4-branch mushroom highline business. Turns out to be a family-run business since 1961 from family O'Neill, and it's all grown in Toronto, in Ontario. You can visit highlinemushroom.ca for more details. Then we have a cheese from Magic Cheese, Kensington Market. It is Whitby, Ontario, and it's 6-year-old cheddar. Okay, so we've started cooking our meal. I'm just sweating the onions in some olive oil, our Ontario-grown onion. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about reflecting on, is our eating habits, or are our eating habits considered an agricultural issue? I believe so, because, I mean, you can think about local versus industrial. But depending on the size of the load and the distance of the food travels, it may be more sustainable to go with a large sourceable quantity truck rather than a small-scale local delivery truck that may still use unsustainable methods. And an industry farm is local to someone, so you really need to ask questions and become aware of where your food is coming from. When we were at the market, it surprised me that a lot of the people who own the establishments or working in the establishments didn't know anything about their product information. They said, come back, like when the boss is working, blah, blah, blah. You should know where your product is coming from, no matter who's selling it. If people have questions to ask you, you should be ready to answer them. It was almost the norm to not ask where you're coming from. So why have people started blindly intaking food with little to no awareness or concern for what they're putting in their bodies? So I just added organic meadow whipping cream to our onion and tomato sweatage in the pan. Organic Meadow was or is a company that started in 1989. Well, the beginning of it. It only flourished in 1995 when it became a dairy organic company. Sorry, I'm just starting this. So it started out with 30 farmers. They were all grain farmers, and they had a very radical vision. It was still new in organic, being what is organic, what should be labeled as organic, and they knew like they had to go back to ground zero, and they needed to figure out a way to do it. It took them a while to get over a hump. A lot of volunteers helped them out, but once they got over that hump, they hired a marketing manager, and it just flourished from there. So it just shows you how important a certain vision was to a community. They pulled together and they made it happen. And now we're seeing a large community pulling together to create a future of food that is not positive but negative. And we need to get that back on track. Okay, so I'm adding the highline mushrooms. Highline, as we talked about, are from Leamington, Ontario. They don't use any herbicides, pesticides. If you want to learn more about highline mushrooms, you can go to highlinemushroom.ca, and they have an amazing timeline of the technology they've been through in producing their mushrooms, the growing processes they've been through, just an overall evolution of the company. So I added in the 6-year-old cheese, and now we're just simmering until those beans are done. Pasta's almost ready, and we're almost ready to eat. There's something fulfilling about creating a meal all out of Ontario goods